Can LSU Baseball defend their national title and win a second straight championship without Paul Skenes and Dylan Cruz? I'm going to start here, Will. I'm going to say yes. I think you can lose the two best players in college baseball, high school. It doesn't matter because that's never happening again where two players go 1 and 2 in the draft from one college baseball team. I'm going to say yes, simply for the fact that I think their rotation could be better this year. They return Thatcher Hurd, who was the guy who actually was on the mound for that last game against Florida, if you remember that one, and he shoved. I remember watching this kid. I was like, oh, he's going to be their number one next year. Then they go and get two transfers. They get Luke Holman from Alabama, Gage Jump from UCLA. This rotation has a chance to be better, and it's not just like here's the Paul Skenes show, which I know everyone was enthralled by. I don't think you replace Paul Skenes. You don't replace Dylan Cruz, but LSU has depth, man. They still have Tommy White, the slugging third baseman from NC State who did yada, yada, yada his freshman year. Jared Jones, if you haven't seen Jared Jones hit a baseball, I remember last year, this kid hit a ball over their scoreboard in left field. It probably went 500 feet. I don't know that they actually measured it. That dude has more power than anyone in college baseball. Hayden Travinsky's another guy to like. Jake Brown was the number one player in Louisiana, and he's starting as a freshman. There is a lot to like about this LSU baseball team, and I know it's hard to repeat as national champions, but it's possible. It's been done, I think, 3 times since 1995. South Carolina in 2010 and 11. Oregon State 2006, 2007, and LSU actually did it in 96 and 97. So it's possible, and I think it can be done. It's going to be hard. Will, what do you think?
Yeah, it's been a while since the last one back-to-back, but it's not actually as long as I thought. It's those Jackie Bradley, South Carolina teams. But it is really, really hard in this day and age, and I don't think it's going to happen. As much talent as LSU still has on the roster, what they lost is crazy. I mean, Cruz would have been a top pick almost any year of the draft, and I thought it was ridiculous that he was getting number one buzz because Skenes is that ironclad. One of the best bets I've ever made in my life. I got plus 200 on Skenes to go first, free money, because he was automatic, and I think they needed every inch of Cruz and Skenes. The weird way the World Series final played out with those two blowouts going each way, I think that kind of got away. It kind of made people forget how narrow that path was to actually get there. That battle with Wake Forest, it took 11 innings for Tommy Tanks to get them on the scoreboard. They needed every ounce of Paul Skenes to get through that game. And frankly, Wake's got a lot to, they've got a lot to be excited about. Pitcher that fought against Skenes in that game, he's gone too, but they're returning a lot of good pitching talent. They've got Josh Hartle, who was 11-2 with a 2.81 ERA last year. He's going to be the staff ace. Michael Massey's going to step up from the bullpen, which, I mean, there's all sorts of expectation that he's going to be solid in the rotation. And let's talk about LSU's pitching. I wanted to talk about Hurd before you even brought him up. There was, he had a mediocre season last year, mostly out of the pen, few starts. Then he got the win in that game against Wake because Skenes had to leave and it was still 0-0. And then he got the win against Florida, like you said. So the question was can he be the hero this year? He got lit up against VMI in his first appearance of the season. It's crazy. It's February 21st as we're shooting, and college baseball's already in its regular season. That always catches me by surprise, no matter how many years I follow the sport. But I think Wake is, they return a ton of talent. The lineup's going to be great again. And LSU, they just have too much to replace. It's not just Cruz. You've got Trey Morgan's gone, Ty Floyd, who is a solid arm for them. And now you have the target on your back. I think they were like a 5 seed or something coming into last year, which is crazy given the amount of talent they had. It almost felt like they were doing a Golden State Warriors and sleepwalking the regular season just to be comfortable and healthy come June. But I just think it's too competitive. The SEC is too competitive. They might not even be one of the top teams, they should be one of the top teams in the conference, but it's not a free pass. And to that point, Wake has an easier path. Staying competitive at the top of the ACC is not like it is in the SEC. I feel like we're talking about football here, although the gap isn't quite as broad as it is in that sport. I think that Wake's number one for a reason. They deserve it, but I believe that LSU has a shot, as good as any team we've seen attempt a title defense in recent years.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about Wake Forest. You watch Nick Kurtz; he reminds me of like a Jay Bruce, big lefty who can he probably hit for better average than Jay Bruce. One guy that I totally missed is they got Chase Burns from Tennessee, that closer who throws like 102 miles an hour. The guy is an electric factory. So now they've got a guy that can kind of shore up the end of that bullpen, which I'm excited for. And here's the thing about baseball, like it's not like college football. It's not like there's going to be one team that you know is going to win, is always going to win a certain game. When you get to the College World Series, it's anyone's game. It's who's hot. Even getting to the College World Series is tough. I've seen Florida so many times just like falter in a super regional, and you got to wonder like, well, what happened? It's baseball. It's baseball. Anyone can catch fire. Any pitcher can shut a team down. And speaking of Florida, I feel like they're being a little overlooked. I know they lost their season opener. They still have Jack Caglianone, who, by the way, should have won the Golden Spikes Award over Dylan Cruz because he can throw a ball 98 miles an hour on the mound. Also, 33 homers, BB core record last season. Like this guy, this is a dog. He's not Shohei Ohtani just because he's a two-way player. He's not that guy. But I mean, from an athlete perspective, probably more talented than anyone for what he can do on both sides. But I think, yeah, it's baseball. It's tough. But I do think like it's always been about pitching when you get to Omaha. And if these three guys that LSU have like in the rotation can actually live up to what people are billing them as, I think that floor of the rotation can be potentially higher than last season's rotation.
That's the issue, though, because you've got three guys. I mean, obviously, it's an understatement to say that none of them are Skenes. None of them are really particularly close, and you need all the variances to go in the right direction. You need all three of them to be at, I'd say, the 75th or 80th percentile or better of what we can expect from them in order for LSU not to just be good. They're going to be good, but to actually make a push to repeat. It's just going to be. It's a really obviously. I'm not breaking any new ground here, saying you need a lot of things to go right in your rotation to win in baseball. I mean, that's just a fact of the sport. I think we all know that from watching the MLB, even more than college, where you got 5-man rotations and longer series. But it still applies in college because it's just so hard getting these young arms up to speed, throwing a long season. Man, it's a long college sports season compared to the other ones. There's a reason it starts in February. It doesn't even finish close to the end of the school year. It's just going to be a long grind. And I think the good thing about the long grind is that LSU can tinker with these. I mean, it's as well of a coach team as any in the country. So they can tinker with these guys, get them up to speed. But I just think too much needs to go right. Obviously, you can say that of anyone, but this Wake Revenge Tour angle, I know we don't want to dig into narratives too heavy in February, but they were close. I think it's very fair to say they could have had the ring last year if something other than Tommy Tanks hitting a 2-run homer had finished that game. So I think they're out for revenge. I think they've got a lot of talent. They had some guys come back in pursuit of that ring, whereas everyone on LSU who was eligible to go finished business. We got our ring. I think that's part of the issue with baseball, that it's so easy to go after you're a junior. But yeah, give me Wake. Obviously, it's no lock. There are no locks in baseball, especially college baseball. But I think that Wake's in the middle of a pretty special couple-year stretch.
Man, also from, speaking from the Carolinas, I think 8 of like the top 25 teams right now are in either North or South Carolina. That's how good it is. That's the capital of the college baseball world right now. When it, even just a few years ago, it was Mississippi, considering, you had Ole Miss and Mississippi State win it back to back there. I think you're right. There's a lot to like about Wake Forest. I always root for the SEC. You know me, even though Florida and LSU are rivals, I can't help it. And also the rivalry that they have, Florida beats them for their natty. I forget what year is that, 2016, 2017. And then they get their revenge last year against Florida. Either way, I'm excited for the college baseball season. The first weekend has already been exciting. We've seen the wacky, the awesome. I want to know, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Can LSU defend their national title? Who do you guys have? Is it Wake Forest? Is it LSU? Is it Florida? Is it someone else? Let us know, and make sure to tune in next time because we'll be talking college baseball all season long.